I got some complaints, and they were like, "Well, you don't do it as good as Phil." And I'm not going to call people out, but I'm cool with that. So we'll save bringing people into the family for the end here, because I don't quite do it as well. But what we are going to do is a quick 10-15 minute message here. Hopefully, get the Holy Spirit stirring. We got more people coming in, man. I love to see it, and convict ourselves, myself included, to go out and do stuff that we wouldn't otherwise do. Right? I mean, I would like to see how many 18 to 25-year-olds are out cleaning gyms and being the feet and the hands on a Tuesday night when you got school, work, and other things to do. So I'm proud of us. So before we get in, for those of you that are avid, we'll call you Grovians that are coming every week, that's awesome. For those of us, I missed 2 weeks in a row because of a class I was taking. I want to do a quick recap so that for our new people and those of you that might missed, we can catch you up to speed. So we're doing the Sermon on the Mount. And a quick recap here. So Jesus is traveling along the Sea of Galilee, and this is early in his ministry. And he is stopped, and he goes up onto a mountainside. And what he's trying to do here is his disciples are with him. He really wants to emphasize what it truly means to follow him. So this was not like laying out a prophecy or anything like that. Like this Sermon on the Mount is an amazing guide to Christian life, and I think that's why it's so important and part of the reason that we chose it here. There's also a large crowd gathered around to hear Jesus because they know and they can tell that he's going to be an influential person, the most influential person to ever walk this earth. And what this really represents is what it means to live like Jesus. Like we say that, we have T-shirts and stuff, but I would challenge you that if you can memorize a lot of this, like the Lord's Prayer, obviously everyone knows that, but the more you memorize, I feel like the more tangible things you can have to implement into your daily life to be more like Christ. And that's what it's all about. So my first takeaway here from the Sermon on the Mount, if you look at it in totality, is that Jesus made it clear that we are to live differently than unbelievers, right? And like I said 2 minutes ago, we are different. And I hope that you all see that, right? How many people are out on a Tuesday night doing what we do? And that's not trying to brag or lift us up and be more holy, but what it is to offer encouragement and say, this is good, it's a start, but let's keep that going. We are called to a higher standard. And as believers, I think it's important that we make sure we hold ourselves and others in the family to that higher standard, right? Like we talked about, and we say it in a lot of these messages that we give you all, that loving someone is not affirming their false beliefs. And that's not what we're here to do. But what we are here to do is encourage each other and love on each other. And when we stumble, say, I know you fell down, brother, sister, but I'm here to pick you back up, and so is Jesus. So let's do this together because we are not perfect. And then lastly, the standard of love and selflessness as we go to this serve night that Jesus would embody on the cross, that's what he's trying to portray here. And I think that's so important, that love and selflessness. So let's get into the word. Matthew 6, 1 through 4. I know it's only 4 verses. We could spend probably half an hour here, but we're going to keep it to 10 or 15 minutes, or try to. Be careful not to do your acts of righteousness before men to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites did in the synagogues and on the streets to be honored by men. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Again, I love this. I think I was called to present this, and it just worked out. I was supposed to do last week and ended up being this week, and I really, really focused on the word hypocrite here. And if you read the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus uses the term hypocrite several times in this message. And if there's anything I've learned from reading the Bible, it's that when Jesus or other disciples repeat a message, you listen. We listen. And we follow what they have to say. There's something important here. So let's get into this word hypocrite. A hypocrite in these times was actually, if you do some research, is a Greek word, and it was used in the theater. And that's where it came from. And what it means was, it was an actor or actress that was portraying someone that they were not actually to be. I'm going to say that again. So a hypocrite in these times was from the theater, where it described an actor or an actress who was portraying someone pretending to be someone that they were actually not. So another way to look at this is like a facade or a false face, right? A facade is something that can be deceiving. It can look nice, right? I don't know how many of you have houses or have worked on houses. A facade, people can stamp these fake mountain stones on their house and make it look like this $1 million mansion, when in reality they went to Ollie's and got these little pieces of plastic and glued them on the side of their house. And that's a facade, right? It's a facade. It's fake. Behind those rocks could be rotten wood. You don't even know what's behind there, but they're covering it up. I believe Jesus is trying to warn us about this type of behavior here and using that word over and over again. So let's get some things straight. If we're all on the same page, we're all on a level playing field, I think like we can get to this end point here and be on the same page. I said it once, but I'll say it again. We need to be on the same page. So every church, whether it's this church that you go to or you attend another church, it's made up of sinners, right? Like Jesus is the only person that ever walked on this earth that didn't sin. And he's not here in body, he's here in spirit. So every church that you attend is full of sinners, right? Does anyone disagree? Okay, we're getting along great. There are no perfect churches because there's no perfect people. So we're going to build off that point. So if you find one, if out in your travels you find a perfect church, I challenge you not to join it, because I can guarantee you'll ruin it. Because everyone in this room sitting alongside of me right here, I love you and you're a sinner. We are not perfect. So I guarantee you won't find one, but if you do, don't join, because you will burn that thing to the ground. Being a hypocrite in a God-loving church only happens when you lead people in the direction that says, I'm not perfect, I'm a sinner, but I'm trying to get better every day, right? So if you're out there telling people that they should go to church because it'll make them the perfect person, it'll get rid of every single temptation in their life, that's a lie. We live with temptation every day, but what you do with that temptation is different. Don't be a hypocrite and don't lie about what church is about. I think being a hypocrite is probably one of the main reasons that we have people in our culture and society today that have a bad taste in your mouth, right? We've all talked to those people that they'll either see your shirt, or you talk to them about church and like, oh, I got church hurt, or you're a Christian, like, oh, well, this thing happened to me, right? Well, that can leave a bad taste in people's mouth, right? We all know believers that are out there and they'll say, hey, I don't want you to do this thing. Jesus says don't do this thing. And then 10 minutes later, that person's doing that same thing when they're on their own and no one's looking, right? We know people like that, and it's sad to see, but it's the truth. Jesus is warning us about this type of falsehood. You can't stick plastic blocks of fake rock all over you to make you look like this beautiful facade of perfectly put together non-sinner, because at the core we are, but we're trying to get better every day. So what Jesus is telling us here, it's really plain and simple. When we're going out and we're trying to be Christians and we're serving other and we're trying to embody that love and selflessness that he embodied on the cross, don't parade it around, don't boast about it, but do it in secret. And what I mean by that is I don't want to get it confused here. When you're doing something good, you shouldn't be ashamed of it, right? This is not something to be ashamed about, but putting it on your Instagram on what you're doing every second of every day to make you seem better than other people, if that's your goal, that's the wrong attitude. Absolutely the wrong attitude. So I want to challenge you with a few things here. Let's talk about the good first. You want to be closer to God? Raise your hand. Okay, perfect. That's what I was hoping for. Everyone did it. Yes, nice. Okay, you want to be closer to God? Pray for your enemies behind closed doors. You want to be closer to God? Serve the poor at a soup kitchen on a Saturday when you're really busy and you're not posting about it all over the place. You want to be closer to God? Get into his word intentionally and often. Who wants to be closer to the enemy? I thought we had a hand there. I was like, oh, hold on. Okay, good. You want to be closer to the enemy? Post about how holy you are on Instagram. You want to be closer to your enemy? Tell your coworkers how much of your bank account goes to your church every week. You want to be closer to your enemy? Be a hypocrite. Keep living in the sin that is tearing you apart on the inside, and then tell other people not to do that same sin. I don't know about you, but I want the reward that Jesus is talking about here. Then the Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. I want the reward of joyfulness and peace. That's what I pray for. And I have tried and tried to find it on my own, and there is no person on this earth that can give you those two things by themselves. Sure, they can add to it, and they're a piece of that, but there is nothing in this world that can give you those two things. So I'm going to try to serve tonight. I'm going to challenge you all as well to serve with a joyful heart, knowing that there's people being blessed. And you know what? They're not going to be in the Lord's gym working out saying, hey, pat on the back, thank you for cleaning that dumbbell. But what they are going to have is a gym where they can work out that's clean, it's free to them, and it can use their body for good. What they don't see is the people that went into the closet over there and organized clothes and dug through the nastiest stuff. Not to scare anyone away, please don't leave if you're going to the closet. It's not that bad. And you're clothing people that actually need it. So I know that serving with a joyful heart tonight with our brothers and sisters to our left and right and seeing what we do as a family, we're the only ones that need to know about this. Sure, we might make an Instagram post or something like that, but this is something that we're doing as a family, and I hope that it's for the kingdom and not for yourself. Because I know that God is watching from above and knowing that we are building up his kingdom, and that should be enough for us, right? This should not be about clicks and likes and friends. This should be about building the kingdom, stepping away from sin, and being the hands and feet of Jesus. And I hope that we can do that joyfully. I'll say it again. Joy does not come from anything on this earth. That's happiness. Joy is this feeling that you only get when you know that you're in the right place at the right time with the right people. And I feel like that's where we are tonight. So I hope that we can go out there together as a family, do the Lord's work, and then leave here feeling refreshed, like we accomplished something, and then scoot back into our lives without bragging about it to anybody. Bill, you want to come up and do some introductions?